of my journey with colors.
A man who wooed the world with talk of reform and the promise of access to Libya's wealth. So Saif al-Islam's rambling televised speech came as a shock to those foreign admirers. He said drug addicts, foreigners and Islamists were plotting against his father, who would fight to the last bullet. This is the London School of Economics, the LSE. Saif studied here. His charity has given it money. But academics who knew and liked him are now appalled by his speech in support of a brutal regime.
Here was a man, I think, under huge stress and personal circumstances, now torn apart by this tension between, on the one hand, loyalty to his father and family, on the other hand, the reform of his country. This was almost a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions being played out in front of us. And when he came to make his final judgment, he made the wrong one.
This is the library at LSE, and inside we managed to find a copy of Saif al-Islam's doctoral dissertation, which he submitted in 2008, more than 400 pages long. It's entitled "The Role of Civil Society in the Democratization of Global Governance Institutions." Let me just show you a highlight or two. He talks about the problems of citizens who live in undemocratic states where governments are authoritarian, abusive, and unrepresentative of their people's real interests. This man has tracked Saif's financial dealings, in particular his role in setting up a fund called the Libyan Investment Authority.
It's now worth about $150 billion, and vast numbers of financial institutions from London and around the world have been trooping to its doors, trying to get a piece of that action. And one of the ways in which they have been doing that is trying to make contact with Saif al-Islam or his friends, because they believe that he is one of the gatekeepers for that fund.
At the LSE, the students are upset about the ties between their university and the son of a dictator. But there are many others now wondering if it was such a good idea to do business with Saif al-Islam. Barnaby Phillips, Al Jazeera, London.
I'm Sahil Rahman. This is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making the headlines. Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi appears to be losing control of territory in Libya. Protesters are reported to have taken control of towns as far west as Misrata, around 120 kilometres from the capital Tripoli. One witness told Al Jazeera 6 people were killed and 200 injured in the city itself. The US president has spoken out about the Libyan crisis for the first time. Barack Obama has condemned the violence in Libya, calling it outrageous and unacceptable.
Like all governments, the Libyan government has a responsibility to refrain from violence, to allow humanitarian assistance to reach those in need, and to respect the rights of its people. It must be held accountable for its failure to meet those responsibilities and face the cost of continued violations of human rights.
3,000 Turkish citizens have returned home after escaping the violence in Libya. They arrived at the Mediterranean port of Marmaris on 2 ships sent by the country to evacuate them. At least 5,000 Turks have now left Libya, of about 25,000 in the country. More than 200 Turkish companies are involved in construction projects in the country itself. Well, earlier, Libyan state television aired a short speech by Gaddafi's daughter Aisha, refuting reports that she'd left the country.
I would like to tell the Libyan people that I'm as steadfast as this house I stand in front of. And this shows to the Libyan people the amount of lies, fabrications and false news these channels are spreading.
Yemen's president has ordered security forces to protect protesters after a recent crackdown left 11 of them dead. Ali Abdessaleh has issued an order to prevent direct confrontation between pro- and anti-government demonstrators. Protests have been going on in Yemen for 2 weeks now. On Wednesday, 2 pro-democracy protesters were killed. 92 people are now known to have died in the earthquake in New Zealand, according to Prime Minister John Key. Rescue teams are looking for as many as 300 people that are still missing. Protesters have been fighting running battles with police as thousands of demonstrators voiced their anger over austerity measures in Greece. This video shows the moment a policeman was set alight. Police responded with tear gas as they were attacked with petrol bombs and rocks. Thousands of protesters staged a mass rally as part of a general strike. Those were the headlines. More news at the top of the hour. Next, songs from a lost homeland.
يموت البطل لأنه حياة، لأنه هواؤها وغيمها، لأنه ترابها وقمحها ويفرش المدى. لا يموت.
الفلسطينيين العايشين بالقدس عايشين تحت احتلال، بالتالي المسألة الثقافية والهوية الثقافية مسألة مسألة مواجهة من نوع آخر. كمان اللي في الخط الأخضر هم بيواجهوا هويتهم الثقافية العربية، لكن هون عم نواجه حالة من الاحتلال اليومي أو السرقة اليومية لكياننا جغرافيا وذاتيا.
بفكر إنه في عدة رموز أو مفاتيح اللي ممكن تتشكل منها هوية ثقافية فلسطينية. أنا كمغنية الشيء اللي بيهمني هو الأسلوب اللي أنا بغني فيه، المواضيع اللي لازم تكون لها علاقة بنبض الشارع، بإحساس العامة، إحساس الناس، بمواضيع تهم الناس، تتحدث عنهم.
يا أرض مالك كرهتي كل سكانك، في يوم زلازل ويوم يجرفنا طوفان.
الهوية الثقافية الفلسطينية مهددة، في خطر من قيام دولة إسرائيل طبعا. في منهجية لطمسها. إحنا كفنانين فلسطينيين دورنا إنه نحاول نحافظ على هذا الموروث.
صح لي إنه أعمل عرض في مهرجان العود، بس أنا رفضت لأنه ما كانوا راضيين إنه يحطوا اسم فلسطين، كانوا بدهم يحطوا القدس الشرقية.